Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to work the long tail cast on. The long tail cast on is my go-to method of casting on my knitting. There's so many different ways, so you just need to find one that works for you. And 99% of the time, the method that I like the best is the long tail cast on. It's quick, it's easy, and it's not overly complicated. For this tutorial, you are going to want yarn, whichever weight and size you want. You're going to want knitting needles in the appropriate size, and you can find the appropriate size by looking at your ball band, and you'll see on the ball band it will tell you what size knitting needles you roughly will need. Sometimes you'll need to change these if you knit particularly tight or particularly loose, but 9 times out of 10 you will need the size needles that they recommend. I'm going to be using 5mm needles for this yarn, and this is an Aran weight yarn, which is a good yarn to use if you're just getting started. When you are working the long tail cast on, you're working with yarn and 2 tails. So a top tip is that you will need to have your tail 3 times longer roughly than the width of the work that you want it to be. So if you're wanting something to be 60 centimeters wide, you're going to need roughly 180 centimeters of tail. That's not an exact rule, it's just roughly. So you want to start your long tail cast on by taking out the appropriate length of tail. So this is my tail end, and this here is the yarn that attaches to the ball. And you start with a slip knot. I see lots of people do really fancy ways of making slip knots, but I literally cross my yarn over and pull up a loop like that and pull it tight. And you want your loop to tighten when you pull the working yarn, so that your working yarn is the loop, not your tail. You want to pop your slip knot onto your needles and just tighten it slightly, not too tight, just tight enough so it stays on your needles. Then you want to have your tails hanging down with your working yarn tail at the back and the tail at the front. Then pop your thumb and your forefinger in the middle of those 2 tails like this and pull down so you have like a heart shape. You want to hold the tails tight with these 2 fingers just to maintain a bit of tension. It makes it much easier to cast on. And this yarn around the back here we kind of ignore, so these 3 tails are the ones that we concentrate on. You want to take your knitting needle, pop it underneath the first tail, lift it over the next one, back under the third one, and pull tight. And you'll see that this yarn here has looped around this, it's created a stitch, and then when you pull this tight, you've now got 2 stitches cast on. So once again, under the first yarn tail, over the next, pull it round and underneath so that you pick up a loop, and then just pull to tighten. Under, over, pick up and pull to tighten. Under, over the next bit, under the next one, so you're pulling up a loop and you pull to tighten. I'll show you from a different angle. Under the one on the outside of your thumb, over the one on the inside of your thumb, round the back and underneath the one on the inside of your forefinger, and pull it back through that loop. Under, over this one, round the back of the one on the inside of your forefinger, and pull it through the loop that this is creating. And you work that until you have cast on as many stitches as you want. And that's how you work the long tail cast on. It's nice and simple, nice and easy, and when you've cast on the right amount of stitches, you just turn your work and start knitting. I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up if you have, and I'll see you again for another tutorial soon. Bye!